friends and neighbors. Thanks for stopping by my channel again. This is me, Stella Hendricks, and we're here to look at some vintage Playboys and just hear me yammer on about my opinion and have kind of a grown-up show and tell. So that'll be fun. Do you want to know something else I discovered today? You're gonna love this. If you're wearing a shirt and it's not giving you enough booby action and you don't have to actually go anywhere, you're just like on camera, take a rubber band. You ready for this trick? Kabam! I might get in trouble for this by YouTube. I hear people say you're not supposed to have too much boobs on YouTube. Ugh. There. See, I tied it in a little knot back there. Let's see if it holds, huh? It does feel kind of tight in the shoulders. Well, this is an experiment. We're gonna find out. So, I remember last week I said that we were gonna review my Princess Diana book, but I totally went down the rabbit hole with the whole double-sided feature thing, and I found some interesting things out, so I kind of wanted to explore that a little bit more with you. Do you remember last week I showed this technically vintage Playboy, which is so funny because these girls are my age, but I guess I'm vintage too. And this is that famous, one of my favorite covers of all time. Just gorgeous. And I remember that they filmed them shooting that on Girls Next Door. And so I thought, well, maybe they talk about it in my little Girls Next Door book. Did you know they have a book? They do. It's fantastic. I highly recommend. So I looked it up. Sure enough, Holly had some interesting things to say about this particular shoot. She says, my favorite cover is the second one because it was the first front and back cover that Playboy ever did. Also, it was my idea. We were at a Dodgers game and we were trying to think of a cover. I took a Sharpie and on a napkin, I drew us undressing through a window like a neighbor was looking at us. The Girls Next Door. The napkin is so ugly, it doesn't make any sense, but Hef liked it. He sent it off to Chicago and it became the cover. It is not ugly, Holly. It is so cute. So clever, so cute, so creative. I love that. Holly Madison was just the best photo editor director of all time. Seriously, I love her. Also, I love this book. You should get it and read it. So, let's talk about September 2006 issue of Playboy with my three favorite girls, Holly, Bridget, and Kendra. The first time I watched Girls Next Door, I was completely in love with Bridget. The second time I watched it, Holly was my favorite. I have a terrible time picking and keeping favorites. I don't really have a favorite to this day. I really like how unique they all are from each other. I personally identify more with Bridget and Holly, for sure. But we love Kendra too. We're not gonna bag on Kendra. She's just different. Okay, first, I totally love this advertisement for Patron. It says, some perfection is debatable with blondes, brunettes, and redheads. And I'm so glad they put in the redheads too, because frequently they get forgotten with the blondies versus brownies debate. Which I'm a natural redhead, so I get defensive. All right. Let's see. Okay. So this is a sort of letter to the editor type little feature. This is from Daniel Pep in Plainsboro, New Jersey. While the subjects featured in the Women of MySpace June episode are lovely, I'm disappointed that they don't reflect the range of women on the site. Some nerdy, some curvy, some punky. Your pictorial could have been called models who happen to have MySpace pages. You know, I think that's one thing that could definitely be improved upon from the 2000 era of Playboy. It was very kind of cookie cutter. There was one type of beauty that they were looking for, and there's nothing wrong with that type of beauty. But one thing I love about modern Playboy is you get a lot more variety in the models. All of them gorgeous, some of them more my taste, some of them not, but I just love the variety. It's so important to have that variety, I think. So here's another interesting little thing I learned about this particular shoot. This is from Arnie Freitag, who was the photographer who shot that issue, and you meet him a couple times on The Girls Next Door. He seems like a really great photographer and a funny guy. Hef wanted to take 2 pictures simultaneously, exactly like Nancy Cameron's 1974 double-sided centerfold. Pause. In case you're wondering, that is not this one. This is 1963. And so I got to thinking, well, what the heck is this other double-sided issue? I'll put that there so everyone can see what I'm talking about. What the heck is this other double-sided issue? And it turns out it was a Playmate of the Month centerfold that they did a back and a front version of it. So I ordered that Playboy. I haven't got it yet, but next week, unless it doesn't arrive, next week we'll go through that one and explore it together. I had no idea that there was another one. So with the going down the rabbit hole, I speak English. That's another thing that I kind of tripped and fell into. How cool. Oh, there's another one. Also, the fact that Holly came up with the concept for the Girls Next Door, the literal take on Girls Next Door. Oh, so cute. I love it. Anyway, sorry, on with the little article. Nancy Cameron's 1974 double-sided centerfold. I set up 2 cameras and 2 sets of lights. With a remote control in each hand, I'd fire the front camera and a set of lights, then immediately fire the rear camera. We also needed to see what was happening on both sides, because what looks good from the front doesn't always look good from the back. So I put a video camera underneath the second camera. That way I could say, move your hand over here, then look at the video screen and say, but make sure your butt is still facing this way. And remember, this is ×3. When Dwight Hooker shot Nancy, that was just one girl. It was a stressful shoot. Fortunately, these girls aren't self-conscious about anything, ever. Oh yeah, models are never self-conscious about anything ever, are they? Although I remember in this article, I think that Holly talks about it some too, I feel so bad for Bridget. I think Bridget really got kind of fat shamed on that show, and she is not fat. Not that there's anything wrong with being fat if you want to be fat, but she wasn't, and she was really kind of bullied a little bit like that. I'm not sure if that's what Marilyn Grabowski was doing on the day of that shoot, but I remember watching that episode and everyone pointed it out, how everything was Bridget's fault. Every imperfection was Bridget's, and that would probably be really hard. But it also leads to one of my favorite segments of the whole series, is because Bridget goes in the dressing room and she's upset and she needs a minute. The makeup ladies are powdering her eyes and everything. And what happens? But Kendra walks in, and Kendra is very sisterly towards her and gives her a little back rub and gives her a little pep talk and is super sweet to her. You see a very sisterly bond between Holly and Kendra a lot, or Holly and Bridget a lot, but you don't really see that with Kendra and the other girls. She's much more, kind of tomboy. So I just thought that was a super touching moment and one of my favorite moments from the entire series of Girls Next Door. All right. The next interesting thing I found in here is a sort of an ad for the DVD of the month, which seems a little self-serving because it is, in fact, Playboy After Dark, Hef's influential laid-back TV show making its DVD debut. In 1959, Hugh Hefner began hosting TV's Ultimate Parties, rubbing shoulders with such legends as Ella Fitzgerald, Lenny Bruce, Nat King Cole, and Sammy Davis Jr. on Playboy's Penthouse, and 10 years later on Playboy After Dark. The casual, free-form setting was groundbreaking and made you feel as if you were hanging with Hef and his famous friends as they shared laughs, played games, and discussed the topics that made the 1960s such a trip. Variety called the show uninhibited and more like a night on the town than a tryst with the tube, which I think is a great little quote. So yeah, I haven't actually watched these Playboy's Penthouse or Playboy After Dark, but it sounds like it would be right up my alley and super interesting. And I think Playboy Penthouse, yeah, the original one, that might have gotten taken off the air partly because Hugh Hefner refused to segregate. I know that some people were scandalized and upset by Sammy Davis Jr., and I think they mentioned Ella Fitzgerald, other artists like that. And the Southern audiences were somewhat scandalized by this back in the day. And Hugh Hefner said, well, too bad, deal with it. So that's another thing I really admire about Playboy and Hugh Hefner, is that he wasn't having any of that segregation crap. He wasn't having any of it. Good for you, Hef. All right. Ooh, the next, oh, this is so cute. I think they show it on Girls Next Door, but this is Kendra's pinup that was drawn for her. That is so cute. I really need someone to make a pinup of me someday. I actually met a girl who does it recently. I just have to send her in a picture and send her in some moolah, and we'll see how it looks. Hopefully it'll be super cool. All right, so Miss September is Miss Janine Habeck? I'm not sure, but her name is Janine, and she's just beautiful. Again, I'm always so sorry that I have to hijab all these girls' boobs. Not my rules. She's so gorgeous. Born in West Berlin to a German father and an Italian mother, Janine vividly remembers seeing the fall of the Berlin Wall. I felt like I was part of history, she says, and even then she was thinking about America. Suffice it to say that when she finally got here, she arrived in style. I'm living at the mansion and love Hef and his girlfriends, Miss September says. We're all really close. I'm pretty sure they do feature her on the Girls Next Door. Also, I think Bridget goes to a German restaurant with her or something. It was super cute. So let's find her centerfold. Again, we can't look at all of it because of the boobs, but we can see her beautiful face and shoulders. Oh, that's a tank. I thought that she was holding on to a pole there. I thought she was at the strip club. No, that is far too naughty. Would it be? Strip clubs are fairly innocent. I think that they should have a revival. Okay, here we go. The best part of the whole article. The part we've all been waiting for. The Girls Next Door. I love these pictures. Love this whole concept. You see? You can see. All right, so this time they got their individual pictures, or the individual ideas for the pictures, with the three girls and the main girl up front, and then the two friends in the back. Kendra Wilkinson, 21, Hef's youngest and most recent girlfriend, is sports crazy, so she decided to stage her own Super Bowl party in the colors of her hometown team, San Diego. This is my dream photo shoot, she says. I'm doing the Heisman pose, except naked and a Chargers jersey. Score! Score! This is from the 2000s. This is so cute. Don't you love this? I am obsessed. Also, I think Bridget is like secretly stealing the show back there. She's so cute. I know sometimes I get a weird glare on this, so I'll go like this, you can see. Oh, Bridget is like my total fave. I love her. Holly Madison. Holly Madison, 26, met Hef at the mansion 5 years ago at his annual Midsummer's Night Dream Party. 2 days after their first date, she moved in and is now Hef's #1 girl. The gorgeous Oregon native is pictured as Marilyn Monroe from Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Gorgeous. Also, what a great idea, Holly. How cute. And I think it's so weird. She mentions on there that when she showed the outfits to Hef, he didn't think it was gonna be feminine enough or something. Isn't that like exactly the cuffs and collars that the Playboy bunnies wear at the clubs? But he thought it wasn't gonna be feminine enough? That's very strange to me. I think that he was getting a little older and crabbier in his later years. Not that we're excusing any of that, but it kind of makes me laugh for little stuff like that. I mean, we're not excusing any of the possibly mean things that he is accused of doing to people such as Holly and others. We're not excusing that. We're just saying for things like, oh, I don't think that the cuffs and collars look very feminine. That just sounds like he's getting to be a cranky old man. That's what I mean. Okay, the best. Oh, everything's the best to me. Everything's my favorite. But here's the best one. This is Bridget Marquardt's. Bridget Marquardt, 32, finds herself in a bit of a hairy situation. The California girl, currently working on her second master's degree in broadcast journalism, is a horror film fan. Here she's cast as exotic blonde Fay Wray in the best remake of King Kong we've seen yet. Yes, I agree. How sexy is this picture? How gorgeous. And how perfect, I think, like that really shows what I understood. I mean, I never met Bridget Marquardt, but like her character on the show, that seems so fitting for it because you got the horror movie, you've got the classic Hollywood, and it's just incredibly exotic and sexy. Just beautiful. Let's look again. I can't get enough. And look at Holly. Isn't Holly smoking hot in this one? Oof, I mean, all of them always are, but what a great idea, Bridget. Oh, so gorgeous. I think that's one of my all-time favorites. You'll discover as we go along. I have a lot of all-time favorites. I have a hard time really picking favorites of things. And so therefore, I have the delightful experience of living in a world full of my favorite things because I can't have just one favorite. I have about 20 favorites, but it makes life better. Maybe that's why I'm polyamorous. Works out better that way. So that is, this was kind of a shorter one. That's the end of our episode for today. Oh, one last thing. I almost forgot. So did you ever notice on the back of this how Holly Madison's lower back tattoo, it's a bunny, but it's not the Playboy bunny in Holly Hot Pink like we're used to seeing on the show. And I was like, what in the heck is that bunny? It took me a while to figure it out. And so finally I was kind of like Googling around and I realized that the back of this magazine, it says something in mirror language. So I had to take it over there and see. And since you can see it here now because it's on backwards. Fantastic. Now we know that it was an advertisement the whole time. I never knew. I just thought like, why would they change the logo? It's not like they don't have the rights to display a Playboy bunny. They are Playboy. So that was a great mystery. Oh, speaking of the Playboy bunny, how did I almost forget? Okay, so on the front of all these magazines, they got a hidden bunny. Do you see it anywhere here? Yay! Well, it's actually right down here on Kendra's bra, right on her boob. Do you see it? If you don't see it, it's okay, because one great thing about these later ones is they start giving you a little cheat sheet. There we go. So now you can see where it was. Very well hidden in the lace embroidery there. Very gorgeous. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for sharing this little Playboy magazine with me. It's definitely, I would consider, it's almost 20 years old. So I guess, is it vintage? Are things vintage when they're 20? Is there like a definition of when things become vintage? I'm not sure. I can't really think of it. But we're going to call it vintage because it's definitely a classic and it has that awesome connection to history also with the forward and the back. And next time, hopefully, I'll have that 1974 Playboy, then we can check that one out. But if not, then next week we are going to do my 1980s Princess Diana book that I used to absolutely adore when I was a child. So I'm gonna have some Diana earrings, and I have this like Princess Diana crown that I'm gonna wear because I love to dress up, and it's just gonna be super fun. So thank you for coming along on this little visit with me, and I hope I'll see you next time. Take care, you guys.